I would like to welcome you all to the regular meeting of the Monroe Planning Commission. It is Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 7:01 p.m. Hannah, can you do roll call, please?
I'd be happy to. Commissioners present in establishing a quorum, Commissioners Blair,
Thank you, Hannah. And we do not have any members of the public present tonight for public comments, so we'll move on to agenda item 4.1, which is approval of the October 27th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those? I recommend you will need to activate your mic to say such things, but thank you for the motion. Brandy, is there a second? Mary will also need to activate the mic to make such motions, but thank you, Mary, for the second. Got it. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? No? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries unanimously. Brandy motioned and Mary seconded. And moving on to old business, agenda item 5.1, critical areas regulations updates workshop and definitions with Kate.
Thank you. While Hannah is pulling up my presentation, I just wanted to give you an overview of what's in your packet. It's the definitions, actually some new ones that you have not seen since it's kind of all new. I'm just presenting them to you. The proposed and modified definitions all have the citations. If there is an existing definition that you had a question about, I did not pull citations for that, but I'm happy to if you need it. And then I've already shared this with you, but the process I'm going through is I am doing the audit to determine what updates are required for the city's critical areas regulations. My primary sources of information are the Washington Department of Commerce Critical Areas Checklist and Handbook, as well as information from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife relating to priority habitat and streams. And then once I figure out what pieces we're missing, I'm also using I'm looking at other sources from cities that already have approved critical area regulations and made it through their appeals process, including Snohomish County. Tonight, we are discussing definitions. So for the slides, I just wanted to give you a couple of the ones that I thought were important. The first one being the anadromous, I can't say that word, but it's basically fish that live in streams and in the ocean and come back. And the reason I felt this is important, this is one of the key things that we are required to make sure we're accommodating with this critical areas update. And the graphic on the right illustrates all of the different critical areas that actually impact salmon, and that's the wetlands, geologic hazards, critical aquifer recharge areas, the fish and wildlife habitat conservation areas, and frequently flooded. So I just thought it was kind of a nice graphic from King County, and the other one is from Fish and Wildlife, or excuse me, Department of Commerce. Next slide. The other one is channel migration. The definition itself is self-explanatory, but to me, it's always so interesting for Alborland Park. And so the graphics on the right are 2005, 10, 15, 20, and 25, and you can see how that channel has changed over time. One of the new pieces that I will be presenting to you hopefully next week is that channel migration zones do have an impact on bank stability. And so that's something that we need to start looking at, which we have not in the past. Next slide. And then just a refresher, all of the critical areas that we are required to plan for are wetlands. The first picture next to the words on the top is the airport property. When the PUD had originally applied, they had to do a full critical areas report, which included a stream, a ditch, and 3 wetlands. And so I thought that was actually a pretty good picture of a depressional wetland. The next one is the critical aquifer recharge areas that we discussed a little bit in depth at the last meeting. The next picture is Spada Lake. That is where we actually get our water from. We purchase it from the city of Everett. And so that is a surface aquifer area. We do not have that in the city of Monroe, but I thought it was a nice graphic. The next one is out of order. Down below the words is the FEMA firm maps, and that illustrates some or most of our frequently flooded areas, and we have special regulations if you are building in that area. The next one is Woods Creek to identify the fish and wildlife conservation areas. And then finally, I included the cliffs as you're leaving the city for geologically hazardous areas, really because Calhoun Road slid decades ago. It's not been redone, but that is one of the risks that we have, landslide hazard. Oh. Okay, and then next slide, as you sit down. Critical species. On this one, for the most part, the city of Monroe has birds and fish. So I included Chinook salmon, and all of these graphics are from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. They have an entire list of species that we need to consider for priority habitat within Snohomish County. Today, I actually finished going through that and getting the species not only in Snohomish County but are also likely to be found in the city of Monroe. So the common ones that we might actually see here or do are Chinook salmon, the western toad, bull trout, which is also considered Dolly Verdon, the box swift, which we celebrate once a year, the common loon, and American goshawk. So I'm hoping to come at your next meeting to start talking about the priority habitat. As I've been mentioning, this is one of the areas that we're going to have the most significant change. That's okay. Still having some technical issues. Hannah's on it. Okay, and one of the biggest changes is streams are going to be what I'm planning on doing, just to give you a heads up, is streams will be coming underneath the critical habitat, priority habitat. It's a standalone section in our code right now, but the riparian zones is really where you're seeing your critical species. So I've been working with our GIS specialist who's been out on vacation a little bit. So she is helping me with showing you what the buffers used to be and what we're proposing them to change. Next slide. And then this one, just some more graphics. The map on the left is the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife priority habitat corridors, which I found really interesting to me is the heart of the city really doesn't have anything that we need to protect. It's kind of all on the outskirts where the streams are. And it's kind of unique for our community and helpful, except for the areas on the fringe are the ones that are not developed yet. So might have some challenges there. The middle graphics are from, excuse me, Adopt a Stream. Last year, they removed the Woods Creek, one of the trestle bridges, and they brought in large woody debris to help restore salmon habitat. And then the final graphic, again, is the very large wetlands and stream area by First Airfield between the foothills and 179th. And so, as I've already warned you, this will be a balancing act. We do need to protect the environment, but we also need to be cognizant of property rights and trying to accommodate all those new houses we need to accommodate our population through 2044. So then going into your packet, pages 8 through 15 are all of the changed, added, modified definitions. I'm not going to walk through them except for point out, I realized late last week, in addition to the stream definition, so there's two really kind of interesting things about our code. The critical areas were updated in 2019, and in the critical area regulations themselves, the updated stream typography is in there, as is the wetlands, but the definitions were not updated. So on page, beginning on page 111, at the bottom, it has the new fish type definitions. S is the shoreline of the state. F is that it has fish in it. In P, excuse me, NP is no fish, but a perennial stream. And then NS is no fish present, but it's a seasonal stream. The last two will be most important when we're looking at the new rules. And then at the very end of the table I provided, beginning on page 14, this is the new category or the new way that we are already defining critical areas, but our definitions were not updated to reflect that change in 2019. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions. Again, if there are any of the existing definitions you'd like citations for, just let me know. And next week or in 2 weeks, I'm hoping to have the streams and habitat.
Any questions, comments? Kelsey? Make sure you activate your mic, hit the button.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't see page 14 in this. This was only to page 10 or like 111. I don't see, I don't know if that's, anyway, but on page 3 for the last definition for critical aquifer recharge areas, I noticed that sometimes in like the critical definition, it would say like areas with a critical recharging effect. What defines critical, or like who gets to define what a critical is? Because it's kind of defining itself with the same word.
Yeah, it's actually based on soil type
Okay.
and flow of water underneath. So I'm more than happy to provide additional information. It's comes from the Department of Natural Resources
Okay.
and the Washington Department of Health.
I was just wondering if that was like going to be based on who's like doing they get to decide what critical was, but if we already know where to find that, then that's fine.
Yep. Nope. It's already defined.
Cool. That's it. Thanks.
Any other questions? Nope. Oh, Brandy?
I just wanted to thank Kate. This is a lot of work that you're doing and all the things that you told us about how you're being really diligent to make sure that you're checking all the things that you are. So thank you.
All right, if there are no more comments or questions, then thank you, Kate, so much. All right, moving on to new business. We have an introduction to the Middle Housing Code amendments with Anita.
Do we need both of them on, Hannah?
Just curious if this one works.
Testing.
The problem was the
Oh,
online.
The online is it? I see. Okay. Sorry. I may have just two mics. Good evening, planning commissioners. I don't have a formal presentation tonight. I just wanted to give you an update on the Middle Housing Code progress. It's been a while. I think the last time I came to discuss middle housing was probably summer of 2024. So this is a good chance to give you an overview and background of what's been happening. And then hopefully next month, I'll be able to bring a draft code for you to review. So just to go back a little bit, middle housing is a range of housing types from duplexes to sixplexes, townhomes, courtyard apartments, and cottage housing. It's intended to be compatible with single-family neighborhoods. These middle housing regulations came about in 2023 by House Bill 1110. It's also referred to as the Middle Housing Code. So House Bill 1110 requires cities of certain sizes and locations to allow multiple dwelling units per lot in all residential zoning districts through the use of middle housing developments. The city of Monroe is not required to adopt a middle housing code, but the city is proactively working on a middle housing code to align with the locally adopted plans and policies to provide housing for current and future residents. So this work was done before the 2024 or 2044 comprehensive plan. So now that we do have an updated comprehensive plan, we want to make sure that the current code aligns with those policies, those housing policies. So back in 2024, some of you were on the commission and we were working through the middle housing code. Initially, we were thinking about doing a new chapter and putting all those regulations in the middle housing code. And so I did bring that forth, and a couple items to note is there was a consensus that there be an affordable housing unit requirement. Meaning, so if a development comes in, we're going to say whatever the ratio that we come up with is you're going to have to provide at least one affordable housing unit with your development. So that was one thing. Another thing was parking. And so it was also the consensus that we require we don't allow reduced parking, that the existing parking requirements remain the same for middle housing developments. So since it's been a little while, I've been doing some research and I've been looking at other cities to see what they came up for the middle housing code. And what they did is they spread out the middle housing regulations throughout their development code instead of doing a different chapter like we were starting to do before. So I took a step back and I said, that kind of makes sense because in the city, we already do allow some middle housing options. So we allow duplexes, and in some zones, we allow townhomes or attached dwellings. So the goal of this new draft is to go through single family zones, which right now is R7 and R15 because we did away with R4 with a comprehensive plan update. So we want to make sure that we allow townhomes, duplexes. I'm proposing allowing fourplexes, triplexes, and then cottage housing. So the cottage housing will be a new use. And with those uses, there will be development standards. And those are something that we're working on as well. So cottage housing will be anticipated to be a separate section, not a separate chapter. So everything will be included in our single family zoning regulations. So in talking with some other cities, in particular Kent and Linwood, I really like their approach. So what they decided to do is, well, for them, their regulations were already due June 2025 of this year. So they were kind of in a rush and they decided, hey, we're going to break this out into different phases. So the first phase was going to be, let's get the land use regulations out there. Let's allow these uses, first of all. And then realizing that there's going to be some obstacles such as utilities. So when you have these smaller developments, sometimes it's hard to get the utilities in. But they also realize that public works standards is kind of limiting on regulations right now. So they're proposing that this will be in phase 2. So they're in the process of working with their public works and engineering departments to see if there can be any amendments, any changes to that, so it makes middle housing developments easier. So I think that doing that approach here at the city would work as well. We want to make sure that we're allowing these different housing options, these middle housing options, and then, I mean, it's not saying that development cannot occur, but there will be some sites that are harder than others, right, to develop. And so eventually, when we start talking to the development community, hopefully we can bring public works in and see if there's any type of deviations or anything that we can do. So that's on the list. So just to let you all know. I also wanted to let you know that earlier this year, the City Council adopted an interim R7 zoning ordinance. And so what this ordinance did was allowed townhomes in the R7 zoning district, and it also included development standards and regulations. So that unfortunately sunsetted in October. So I'm going back to council next week to next week to bring back another interim ordinance just so that we can make sure that the development community that's interested in developing townhomes are allowed to do that. And that will allow for another option besides just detached housing units. So the reason why we did this interim ordinance is because this allows us to get this ordinance on the books and allows if developers want to come in and it's bypassing for just a moment the whole code amendment process while we do some more research and then get everything to bring back to planning commission. So that was the only point about the interim ordinance going to just to council for right now. But you will all see this will be incorporated into this middle housing code amendment that I'm working on. So you definitely will be included in that. So hopefully the council will adopt that and then it's good for 6 months. So I'm hoping that we can get through the whole process and have the middle housing code amendments adopted sometime in March. So for the next steps, like I said before, I'm planning to bring back a draft code to you all next month. We'll have a couple work sessions. If we need more, we can have more. And then hopefully we can schedule a public hearing in the first quarter of 2026. I think that's all I have for now. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any questions.
Any comments or questions? Bob?
Have we developed the density bonus structure?
Yes, we can include that in the regulations, and that's a really good point because that it's definitely going to be something in the cottage housing development because for cottage housing we're going to require open space area or common areas, and so for the developer to provide that area, we're going to require or we're going to allow density bonuses so they can get more houses on one lot. So thank you for bringing that up. So actually, I forgot to mention that some of the things that I'm considering to put in that draft code when I bring back, it is in the agenda packet under middle housing code amendment considerations. But I'll just go through those real quick. So allowing townhomes in the R7 zoning district. We're going to allow cottage housing in all residential zones. So that's R7 and R15. Right now, duplexes are not permitted in R17 zoning districts, so it's planned to allow that. Allowing triplexes and fourplexes in all residential zones. And then creating a new section for the cottage housing regulations. We need to have design standards for these types of developments, especially the triplexes and fourplexes. So that's what we're planning to do for that. And then having that affordable housing requirement, density bonuses, and then just adding some middle housing definitions.
Any other questions? Yep. Kelsey?
Were we offering, I mean, was any developers actually looking at those ordinances that got sunsetted yet? Were there people already in the works?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
For the thing that got sunsetted, you said, do you know what I'm talking about? You just said.
Oh, sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing over. The interim, yes. So yes.
Were there
Yes.
people looking at it?
Correct.
already?
So we
Okay.
did have, we have 2 projects that were vested under that R7 zoning. So one project is called Monroe 30, and that's the recently annexed area. And then we have Trombley plat. I'm not quite sure of the full name, but it's a Trombley plat off of 191st. And so they're also using this R7 zoning for townhomes.
Cool. And then, would we be talking about, the kickbacks to developers for doing that for like sewer connections, or did we already is that during this time? Or
Yeah, we can talk about, yeah.
or not doing that?
You mean the
We were like
the
gonna
ADU?
say, like, if they're gonna do so much, then maybe they don't have to pay the sewer connection, or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
that, or is that kind of a different thing?
I mean, yeah, we can definitely talk about that when I bring it back. Maybe I can try to see if maybe somebody from Public Works can come to that discussion. But yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
I just didn't know if that was the same, because I think we talked about it last
Yeah,
time too.
yeah,
Okay.
we've talked about it before. So
Thanks.
Any others? No? All right. Thank you so much, Anita.
you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to agenda item 6.2, which is an introduction to the pre-annexation zoning for the Davis property. And that's Amy Bright.
Good evening, Commissioners. Let's see, let me move the microphones around. There we go. I think that's good. All right, we're good to go. Tonight, I am here to introduce to you the Davis pre-annexation zoning. And so just some background, the Davis family has been working with the county to have their properties, which are in the yellow at the top of the screen. I know I used yellow twice here, that wraps around the water tower property, which is blue. So those yellow properties are owned by the Davis Johnson families, and they've been working with the county to get them into our urban growth area. They weren't in there in the past, and they were successful in doing that late of last year. And so there's 4 parcels. It's about 23 acres, and they were not included when we went through our big comp plan amendment last year, so they're not on our future land use map. All right, so big picture, we're going to be focusing on the red of this timeline here, but we are currently working on a comprehensive plan amendment to amend our comprehensive plan to add the Davis properties into that. That will be coming to Planning Commission as a separate item very soon. And then in red, pre-annexation zoning, that's what we're here for tonight. It predetermines the zoning for the properties. And we're anticipating adoption of that in January of 2026. We'll also, with this project, very separate from this, need to have a development agreement with the property owners. We need to have an interlocal agreement with the county because we don't currently have a master interlocal agreement with them. So we went through a process similar to that with Monroe 30 just to be able to do the annexation. And then also the annexation itself, that's a whole other process. And so they have already submitted for that annexation. And so we're pausing right now to get the pre-annexation zoning determined. So just to give you an idea, here's our current zoning map. And as you may know, our R4 has gone away. R7 is our lowest single family zoning district. And so the proposal is for the Davis properties to be R7. And you can see that it is just north of the Eaglemont neighborhood, which is also R7. So other properties in the vicinity are similarly zoned. So what is pre-annexation zoning? State law allows cities to set this before annexation. And then these items here are really what we're looking for. We need to ensure zoning consistency between our comp plan and the urban growth area. And as I mentioned, it's not in our comprehensive plan, but we are working on that right now. It provide an appropriate residential land use framework in advance of annexation and maintain orderly and coordinated land use planning consistent with state law. So just going through, and this is in your packet as well, here are some land use policies out of our Monroe 2044 comprehensive plan. Ensure that future annexations consider equitable outcomes for all current and future residents. Create an annexation process that meets the city's Imagine Monroe vision and provides housing opportunities for varied income levels. And coordinate with Snohomish County on all annexations and UGA planning. So we do have a chapter in our code for annexations, and it requires that potential annexations be located within Monroe's urban growth area, which this now is in our urban growth area, and be subject to pre-annexation zoning, which is why we're here tonight. When a territory does not have a specified comp plan designation, pre-annexation zoning defaults to the city's lowest density single-family residential district. So that's what we're proposing, the lowest, which is R7. So the next steps for pre-annexation zoning, we issued SEPA November 1st with a comment period ending November 15th. We're here tonight with the introduction. I hope to bring this back for a public hearing before you on November 24th. And then it will go to City Council for introduction and public hearing and filing and recording soon thereafter. So tonight, what I'm looking from you is just any questions or comments or any information that you'll need from me before we go to public hearing.
Bob?
What was the catalyst for this action?
The catalyst for the pre-annexation zoning.
Is that just automatic that we do that?
Yeah, the city is initiating this process because we received an annexation petition for land area that we haven't pre-designated its zoning. So we need to make sure that it's designated.
So the landowner hasn't come forward with any
The-
development plans?
The landowner has come forward with an annexation petition, and it's we've started that process with them already.
Thank you.
Brandy?
So you said that it defaults to the lowest density. Is there any thought about making, like, would it be beneficial to the city if it was a higher density? What would the pros of that be?
So one piece of that is we are working on a development agreement with the property owners. It will do a couple of things. It's separate from this, but it will allow for a mix of housing types. And also it will require them to extend the Chain Lake Road multimodal path along Chain Lake Road, and then also provide a trail connection through the property to Chain Lake Road.
So the the different types of housing, does that mean it could be higher than R7?
It would not, but in our current R7 zoning regulations, they get higher density for attached single-family residences. So this is roughly 23 acres. So I calculated it out at 161 single-family residences, or up to 322 attached residences, or a mixture of the two. So would essentially, and 322 is what is that? How many units per acre? Sorry. So R7 is, it goes from 7 units per acre up to a higher density, which is that 322. 14? R7, yes.
So for townhomes, it's 2 times for detached, is the density bonus for townhomes.
Because wouldn't that be one of our considerations, is that we could recommend that it goes to a higher density than R7?
You could, yes.
I guess.
That's an option.
So from your professional opinion, what would be it wouldn't fit in with the other neighborhoods, or what would a pro be for that, or a con be for that?
Well, what I would say to that is that Eaglemont, which is immediately to the south, was built out at R4, although it's R7 today. These properties could be built out at 7 units per acre with detached homes up to, I believe it's 14 units per acre with the townhomes. So they're getting a good density boost right there.
Mary? You're gonna have to hit your mic button.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so 321 homes up there? Is that what you said? Up on Chain Lake Road? Sorry.
It would be a maximum of 322 townhomes.
Okay,
Or the lower number was 161 detached.
And that's up,
family.
going up Chain Lake Road, right?
It is.
Past the church that's on the left-hand side, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, so it would be past Brown Road.
Okay, past Brown Road, closer to Chain Lake School?
It would be just past Brown Road, on Chain Lake Road, and then right when you hit the county, because yes.
Yeah, so, okay, so all those children will be going to Chain Lake School then, right? So the school, what are they planning on that? Because the school is already crowded with all those children. Where are they going to go? I mean, that's a lot of extra children added to that school, and traffic, the same thing. Again, that road, I feel, is unsafe right there, especially at Brown Road. When you're on Brown Road and you take a left, right, it's not a very safe road right there. And now you're going to be adding how many cars on that road? And school buses at the same time? So is the builder going to be taking care of that as well? I mean, do they pay anything?
They do. They pay school and traffic impact fees, or the developer does. The builder
Is that,
does,
do you
yes.
think that'll be enough? I mean, because that's a lot of cars and school buses and the kids running back and forth. It's not a very safe road right up there. So I don't know. I just think that's a lot, but yeah, hopefully they'll address all that. And if the school gets too overly crowded, are they wondering what they're going to do? Chain Lake? Build another school, I guess, up there? I don't know. I'm just saying that because I know Chain Lake, my little one goes up there and it's crowded. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Those are my concerns.
Thank you. I wrote them down too.
Brandy?
They, that's a con then for any higher density. So, yeah, like you're feeling like that's gonna be maxed out with the R7 already. So, and as far as the concerns, I understand what you're saying. I think though that they may have already had, like, we don't have the ability to say no at this point to any of those things because they're already annexed in. I mean, they're already in the UGA now. And so I think that those concerns would have been stuff that the county had to work with them on. But from what I'm hearing was there would not be interest in moving to a higher density.
Kate has something to add?
Yeah, I think this is a really good conversation because the comprehensive plan designation will be coming to you. You all will have to make that determination. Right now, staff is recommending that it be R7. It's consistent with what's up there. However, Brandy brings up a really good point of what are the pros and cons of looking at something different than R7. So Monroe's lowest density now is 7 units per acre, and that's actually consistent with the Growth Management Act and Snohomish County. They both require, if you're going to annex property, you have to be at a minimum of 7 units per acre. One thing I know the mayor had said throughout the comp plan process is really trying to protect some of the established neighborhoods. Is there a way to encourage greater density in those areas that have not come in yet? So I'm definitely, I will work with Amy and we'll put together some pros and cons. As for the transportation and all of that, our Public Works Department, now we did not assess that. It was part of the county's comprehensive plan amendment process, so it was not part of our own. However, I do know Chain Lake Road, it has not hit the threshold yet requiring an expansion of that right of way. I actually had talked to our Public Works Director about this a couple of weeks ago on a completely unrelated conversation. One of the pros, regardless of what happens up there with the development agreement, and I do also want to be clear, the development agreement is related to the Davises. They were at every meeting. I'm just still blown away how much they participated in our comprehensive plan process. But they were really advocating for this to be included in our urban growth area. And part of the conversation and talking points throughout that is that they would make the connection or the future development of their property would include a pedestrian connection between 191st and Chain Lake Road, and it would include the continuation of that multimodal along Chain Lake. So you're going to get a wider sidewalk there. And then I know from Public Works, there are some benefits regardless of your zoning today or whatever you want to consider, but there are some benefits for the connections for our utilities up there. So that being said, at the end of the day, the Planning Commission is going to have those conversations of what are the pros and cons. Do we want to consider R15? Because again, it is not in our comp plan right now. That will be part of your process. Just want to make sure we put everything out on the table.
Since school buildings got brought up, I would just throw it out there as information, just in case anyone here isn't aware, is that in the event that schools become overcrowded, which Brandy and I both served on the Facilities Advisory Committee for a bond that's going on the ballot in February for a new Sky Valley Education Center. But in all that information, all that to say that a new building at a school can't just happen just because there's more people. It has to go through a process. There's a bond that has to happen, and that requires 60% plus one of our voters. It's not even a 50% type of thing. You have to get 60% of voters to do it. So all these little details are finer details that need to be considered from all angles. And so I don't know, when I know that the Davises were part of our comp plan process all along. And so I know that they've been super involved and that they have this plan that they presented as part of this process. Is there anything in place to hold them to that plan, or could they change their mind given, if we go forward with the R7, could they still change their mind on what they do there? Or was it just is that a kind of an in good faith conversation, like this is our intention? Or is there something that kind of not locks them in, but kind of locks them into a promise with any accountability with that?
Just for clarification, when you say plan, do you
Mhm.
mean the requirement of extending, having the trail and extending the multimodal path, or an actual site plan?
Well, when they say that they're planning to do the multimodal path and stuff, is that stuff that they'll be held to at this stage because it was all part of the process?
Yeah, so what we're requiring in the process of annexation is a development agreement with them that will bind them to those.
Okay.
To those. It's a two-way development agreement.
Okay.
It's not just for the benefit of them, it's for the benefit of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kelsey?
Does that multimodal path get you all the way to the school?
It doesn't.
like-
It would just be in the frontage of their property. So if you could see on the screen, on the top right, it's swooping up, that's Chain Lake Road.
Mm-hmm.
And that portion would be the continuation of the current multimodal trail.
So at this point, kids couldn't really walk to school from
It-
that area. And I'm not sure where the school is on here, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that currently the trail terminates at the end of city limits. And so
Okay.
it will then, once they're added to city limits, it will again terminate at city limits.
got it. Thanks.
Bob?
Couple things. I'm assuming that these little airplanes flying around are the flight path for the airport.
So that's our airport overlay zone. And so it just extends out to there.
So they can't put a 10-story building there. So it's a flight path.
Well, they probably couldn't based on if they end up
That
being
was a- that-
R7 zoning, but yeah.
Are we able to use school capacity in our planning decisions?
It depends. And the reason I say that is the school district is its own entity, and we do coordinate with them. We provide them with our population forecast. At the end of the day, they are responsible for their own capital facility plans, which they do every 2 years. I can also tell you right now, the school district has still not recovered from loss of enrollment from the pandemic. So just because there's more people, it's really up to the school district to make those decisions. If the school district says, City of Monroe, we have concerns, we absolutely will listen. But that is not, that on its own would not be a determination to deny annexation.
Right. We
It
can't
would be a
condition-
part.
We can't condition approval
Correct. You cannot for annexation.
based on building of new school facility.
Right. And again, it's the school district is a separate entity.
Correct.
And that's why we have ongoing coordination with them.
Yes.
Brandy?
Since, since you said middle housing will be for all residential zoning, they could do some of the middle housing ideas on that property also, but, or only once that ordinance is passed.
Correct. So, just to say everything did happen within the 6 months, technically, if they had an application in, they could vest under the interim R7 zoning. But until the middle housing code amendments are adopted, they would not apply to this development.
You want to go with the timeline because that's.
Yeah, so it does take time. So this pre-annexation zoning, just based on, as quick as we can get it through, would be adoption end of January, early February, just for pre-annexation zoning. We still have a lot of other, we have to do the development agreement, the interlocal agreement as well. And so, and then the comp plan amendment is mid next year. So we don't anticipate the annexation until sometime mid next year, which your middle housing may be adopted by then.
Oh, yeah, definitely hoping to have it adopted by at least the summer at the latest, but I'm hoping earlier.
So with that said, it seems that the Davises are planning on annexing. They're not planning on building it out, and so they would likely sell. And so then a developer would come in, and then when they do come in for a plat, then they would vest at that time. And so it sounds like by then the middle housing code would be adopted.
So even when they sell, that development agreement is binding. The thing.
Correct.
Okay. And this is more, so our housing numbers and wasn't including this when we were doing our comp plan forecasting, right?
Correct.
So whatever we get out of this will be like a bonus, right? Like moving us towards where we were already going faster.
That's right.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions? No? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just for clarification, I plan on bringing this forward to public hearing on the 24th, but I will also include, Kate and I will sit down and go through some pros and cons of different zoning options and provide those to you at that time. Was there anything else that the commission was looking for at that meeting?
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to discussions by commissioners and staff. We will go ahead and start down at Mary.
Well, nothing new except for the downtown area with the Halloween was great. Even though it poured, let's see, we gave out 1,000 pieces of candy and could have gave out another 1,000 piece. So it turned out great. So whoever put it together, which I know who did, thank you. We appreciate it downtown.
Great job, staff. A lot of work today. And I love this discussion about the pre-annexation. Thanks.
Thank you so much, ladies, for the presentations and all the information. You're always a plethora of information for us, and you're able to answer our questions. And I know that others share in my appreciation for that. So thank you so much. I said earlier that I was part of the Facilities Advisory Committee along with Brandy, and there is a bond that will be on the special election ballot in February, and the district is hosting a bond information night this Thursday, the 13th. The information portion starts at 6 p.m. It's at Park Place Middle School. The school is also their food service contractor Chartwell's is going to be providing food for anyone who wants at 5:30, but the information's at 6. So the entire community is invited. There've been a lot of RSVPs already. So it'll be a good opportunity to come down, learn more kind of about what, the facilities and the forward hopes of the district. And then also prior to this meeting, the school board of directors also voted to put the renewal levy on the same ballot. So there's a lot of information that'll be coming out from the district about that, just so the public is informed on what is coming up on local ballots. Speaking of that, we just had an election night, so I just want to say congratulations to the new and retained council members. Brandy will be on city council in the new year, and then congratulations also to Kevin Hanford, Kyle Fisher, and Tammy Beaumont for retaining their seats, and then congratulations to the new mayor-elect Patsy Cuddeback. So all that's it from me. Brandy?
Thank you. So I did think of one other thing, Amy, could we know more about these development agreements since we're all asking so many questions about them? Maybe just like give us what the Monroe 30 looks like or something, or like an example of one so that we have more like trust in what that's like. And maybe yeah, that's probably all. Yeah, then thanks everyone.
Just gonna echo, thanks staff. It's awesome being surrounded by so many powerful women and in the chamber and Bob, of course. Has anyone seen Into the Woods yet that's playing here? Does anyone know? I was just wondering, it's a play that's going on. I was just wondering if you had seen it. I think it's going for another couple weeks, so get out there. I think it's the high school or maybe it's local.
It's over at Frank Wagner Auditorium.
It's at the Wagner Center, right?
Okay.
Yeah, downtown.
I was just wondering. And that's it. Thanks.
All right, we'll go with Kate.
So I have for you a little bit of sad news. I have approval from Tony Bulk. His wife passed away last Monday. He called me today, which is he will not be at any more planning commission meetings to the end of the year. His entire family was at the hospital, so blessings for that. But he called today to give me the information about the service. His wife, Lynn, was part of the school district for over 30 years. And they are requesting, instead of flowers, if you would be interested in donating to a scholarship that was actually created last year in Lynn's honor. And so the information is up here. Hold on here, I get through my notes. So the service itself will be on December 14th. That is a Sunday, from 1 to 4 p.m. up at the Monroe High School PAC room. That's the one that has the beautiful big windows. Again, the scholarship information, I tried to find it on the school district. It's part of the Monroe Public Schools Foundation. It's one of the various scholarships. And so anyway, I had a nice call with Tony, but he will be focusing on family for the next couple of months, and I'm gonna try not to cry. He's doing okay.
Thank you, Kate. And our hearts go out to Tony and the Bach family. Anita?
Just want to say, hope everyone's enjoying Wendy's. And then congratulations to Brandy.
Amy?
I don't think I have anything to add other than congratulations, Brandy.
Hannah?
Is this on? Okay. Congratulations, Brandy. So happy for you. And also we do still have our food drive going. That's benefiting the Sky Valley Food Bank. We have a couple of bins here in the City Hall lobby. So that's all.
Thank you, everyone. And if there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting.